Welcome to another session of Inside Outlooks, where we know that personal growth is an inside job. How we think, what we think, why we think it, or what determines our level of success and happiness. It's time to take a look inside to change the world around us.
My topic for the week I threw out was accountability is bullshit, right? So this is really about it, about accountability. Who makes the little kid accountable to not eating that second marshmallow before the 15 minutes? Or actually, I think the experiment is you only have one marshmallow, you'll get another one in 15 minutes. Who makes that kid accountable? No one does, because no one's in the room. So who makes Daryn accountable to change her approach to conflict with these two agents? No one, except for Daryn.
I think there's, and I agree with you, but I also think there's kind of two sides to accountability.
You can agree with me and then disagree with me at the same
I-
time.
It's a crap sandwich. That's great, Dave. I agree with you 100%. One thing I'm
But
thinking about was um, there is good accountability in the sense of if I go to the gym and I've been going to the gym and I kind of level out and I hire a trainer, I've created accountability. Now it's still self-accountability, yes, but I've got somebody there that's going, come on, man, you can do 5 more of those. You can push, like there's a little bit more drive, right? Something. There's a little more accountability because I put money into it and I'm paying somebody that's waiting on me, right? Or if I have a job and I know that I have to do certain things, there's an accountability factor there that's going to cause me to continue to do my job, whether I like it or not. It's the things that we don't do right now that we want to do, that you haven't gone to the gym in 6 months or a year and you want to start going. That's a self accountability part of things, right? I can't make you go to the gym. I can't make you get up earlier. I can't, like, you have to do that yourself. But I think there's just factors of accountability that still continue to affect a person to do something, not necessarily in a positive way, always.
well, yeah, what would be an example of not? What do you mean not necessarily in a positive way?
I could be accountable to a boss to continue to do my job, but it doesn't mean I love my job. Doesn't mean I'm happy. Right? Doesn't even mean I hit the numbers my boss wants me to, but I keep showing up because if I don't, I'm going to get fired. Right?
Okay, right. So then that becomes like, to me, open up the rabbit hole of that becomes like, what do you, at that point, what are you sacrificing yourself for by doing something you don't like? And you have to you have to think about and have some awareness on, I'm sacrificing that because I need the money, right? Or the job,
Or
or it's a career path to something else.
yeah, I don't know what else I would do or whatever. I'm reading this book right now,
Angel something.
Angel Inside. It's about Michelangelo, but I mean, it's a modern day kind of fable sort of thing. But it's very interesting. But it's kind of about that. It's about, I feel unsuccessful. I feel like I haven't done anything, blah, 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 this 30-year-old guy. And it's because he's doing something he doesn't want to do because that's what he was brought up to do and that's what he was expected to do. And he doesn't realize he could do anything else and helps him discover through looking at the statue of David that Michelangelo did that he can do other things, that he could step away from his job. He could, all the things we talk about in coaching, right? Like Dave would say, well, what do you mean? So if you step away from your job, is somebody going to die?
Yeah.
Right? Or if whatever, right? Is it a must or is it that'd be nice. Are you committed or are then why not?
I was Googling some definitions of accountability, and one that struck me was accountability is an acceptance of responsibility for your conduct. And I think it's interesting. So, acceptance of responsibility. So, if you feel accountable to your job, in what way, right? You feel responsible for showing up.
Sure.
You feel responsible for the results. You feel responsible for the income that it brings you. So you can be held or not held accountable. You can feel accountable to things
Right.
that don't align with your values, or maybe they align with some value but not others. Like,
Well, you're right. And that was the point about sacrifice, right? It might not align, what you're doing right now might not align with your values, but the sacrifice that you're making, if you think about it, you can align it with your value or not, and then decide to change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it could align with your value that my value is that I'm a man of my word and I took this job and I'm going to do this and like whatever, right? So it aligns with those values, but does it align with the top values of I'm going to change the world, I'm going to whatever, you know?
So that's an interesting question. How do you feel you best approach something that feels clearly aligned with one value, but maybe opposed to another? Or you feel that maybe it's, you feel responsible for providing for your family. Family is something you really value. And to step away from this job would be a leap of faith that you don't have something else lined up. And it's a job that's like draining to you and you really want to venture into a new field, or you want to become an entrepreneur, or you want to be a writer, or something that doesn't have steady income. So what do you
It could
do?
be even more personal. Both Matt and I are divorced, right? So the value of commitment, but you're divorced. Does that align with your values? Well, semantically, you're going to come up with that answer. Yeah, I think it has to do with sacrifice. I think it has to do with, if it doesn't align with your value and you're determining you want to follow through with that, you have to name the sacrifice, which is really naming who the future you is in that concept, right? For me, it was the sacrifice of being in a marriage that I knew was ending and making that as good as it could be for this, and making it as good for not only myself and my ex-wife, but also for my daughter and the friends and family around us, until my daughter got out of school. That was the sacrifice. I was sacrificing my happiness. I'm sure my ex-wife was also sacrificing her happiness, but we were doing it from a value system to provide that family structure, right? Right or wrong, we decided that that was a sacrifice. The outcome was my future me of this kid had a loving home. We were successful at providing that. And now we're living more out in the open, showing her this is what being committed to your happiness looks like. You don't shirk, and this is my story, right? You don't shirk that responsibility of family, in spite of, I want to go do this or that.
Well, and I think sometimes, not everybody, and me included at times in my life, know what that future self wants.
Sure. I mean, I just made a great story up. I didn't know that when I was in it. It was
Well, no,
fucking
that's
hell.
what I mean. It's like, yeah, right. Like, I am. I worked as a leader in real estate for 9 straight years. And it wasn't my passion, right? Like the people were my passion, but the job wasn't my passion, right? And I was like, when can I get back to the creative stuff? Like there was that little voice in my head, right? But there was also that little voice in my head of my grandmother going, "You're going to school for music? What are you going to do? You need a second degree in something as a backup." Right? Or my ex saying, "Well, you can't just do that. Like, what? You're gonna coach from home? Every time I come home, all you're doing is refinishing furniture or painting something or whatever." I'm like, "Yeah, because I'm coaching in between that stuff, right?" Like, but it gets in your head of like, "Well, I can't possibly do this. I need to have a real job, right? I need to have a regular paycheck." Well, no, I don't. I need to do what I want to do because when I'm open to it, and when I realize that, like, it's funny, Daryn, I don't know if you realized you said it, but you're like one of those, like a career, like a writer, like these ones that don't make money, right? I'm like, no, they do make money,
Right.
but that's the voice we have in our heads when it's just this little blip of an idea somewhere in our subconscious, maybe in our conscious mind, of what we want to do is, "Oh, I could never do that," because that's what we hear 90 times out of 100 is, "Oh, you can't make any money doing that. You're going to be a musician? What the hell?"
Right. Yeah, from that coaching example, it's like the present you going for the immediate gratification of not an argument and say, "Yeah, I guess you're right. I'm just going to go back to work," right?
And even though the argument, I guess somewhere in there, but at the same time, some of it is just like, well, maybe that's right, right? Instead of questioning it, it's just like, oh, well, maybe this person knows more than I know, and maybe, you know, whatever. I mean, that's all a subconscious conversation that I didn't have out loud with myself, right, until late.
Sure. And it goes back to, the word that Daryn used earlier, which is curiosity, right? If you were more aware, more mindful, more steady at that time, you may have used curiosity to ask her more questions about what she means by that, or even your grandmother, right? Ask
Or
more questions of what because it's about them, not about you.
Or ask myself more questions, right? Like, you know, it's I don't know, one of the most, to me, profound things I ever read, so simple, was, what's the name of the book? Benjamin Zander, The Art of Possibility.
Yeah.
And he said, and it's about adding one word to your questions for yourself, right? If I say, am I a good coach? Am I a good leader? Am I a good partner? Am I a good whatever? But it's just adding one word to that. How am I happy?
Yeah.
How am I a good leader? How am I a good coach? Right. And even simpler to one-offs of, like, you know, was that a good coaching session? How was that a good coaching session? Right. Because you got a yes or no, that 51% is a yes on this one and 51% is a no on that one. Well, that's helpful, right? But how was it a good? Well, this happened and this happened and this happened, right? Like, and that goes back to Alan Nagel and our G3, you know, talking about finding a win at the end of every day. No matter how tough your day was, you know, I'm proud of myself because I got through today and I was able to do this, right? Find something to celebrate rather than always finding what's not there. Thanks for listening, and remember, your outside world is an inside job. See you next time. Hey, can we get some more over here? Make them double.